Welcome back, everyone. This is GTA Failure with another odds and ends video. In this video, we tackle the fourth and final arcade game in San Andreas. We start with the game of Asteroids. I'm playing here on the Atari 7800, and the reason we are starting here is that the arcade game from San Andreas that we're going to tackle in this video is called Duality, and it is a clear nod, a clear tribute to the game of Asteroids. So, on that little kind of yellow triangle thing, and I can shoot, and I can move forward, and I can rotate my ship around, and I'm trying to break up these asteroids and eventually clear the screen. If you go off of the screen on one side, you'll wrap around to the other side. I think that was the simplest thing to program in terms of what you do when somebody goes off of one side of the screen back in the day. And yeah, this is Asteroids on the Atari 7800. All right, let's get back to San Andreas, and we'll play a game that's only 20 years old instead of the 40-year-old game called Asteroids. We're back here in the Alhambra Club. We'll take a look at the cabinet for Duality. Kind of looks like the word quality up there at the top. And then let's jump in with the gameplay. And before I explain the rules, let me go ahead and read a definition for you. This is the definition of the word duality from American Heritage Dictionary. The quality or condition of being two or twofold, dichotomy, a classification into two subclasses or opposed parts. All right, so that's the definition for duality, and it's appropriate because I am of two minds in terms of my reaction to this arcade game here in the game of San Andreas. On the one hand, of the four arcade games that we've played, this one I think is the most interesting. I think it's the best programmed game in the lot. The rules are complex enough that there's something interesting to do, but it's not crazy hard to figure out exactly how to play the game once you understand those rules. So that's the positive. On the other hand, fuck Duality. This was an awful experience recording footage for this fucking arcade game. Oh my god, gang, you're not going to believe how long it took me to record the footage that I'm showing you in this very compressed video here. My goodness. So some of the pain that I experienced was because of a glitch that I'll talk about in my particular version of San Andreas, but some of the pain that I experienced was because of some programming choices that whoever at Rockstar made the game Duality decided on, and I wish they would have made some different decisions. So now let's get into the gameplay here. So first, hopefully you can see the similarities between this game and the game of Asteroids that I showed you at the start of this video. So as you've seen, I can power my ship forwards, I can rotate my ship, and I can shoot. Those are the actions that I can take. And in the top of the screen, you see that there's a score up there. I've got 142 points. Every time I go into these white spheres, one of these small white spheres, I get 5 points added to my score. So you can see I'm targeting the white spheres, the small ones. And so we're at 161, so we touch this and we go up 5, and then we touch this one and we go up another 5. Okay. The black spheres, the small ones anyway, will subtract 5 points for me. So I'm trying to avoid the small black spheres and only touch the small white spheres. All right, now let's talk about the larger spheres. First, we need to look at the lower left-hand side of the screen. So you can see the green bar. That is my fuel gauge. Every time I am thrusting, whenever I'm thrusting, the fuel gauge decreases. And if I'm not thrusting, then the fuel gauge slowly increases. And if I run out of fuel, I don't lose the game, and I can still thrust a little bit, but not very powerfully. So you really don't want to let yourself run out, or you don't want to be empty for too long because you really can't control your ship very well with that reduced thrusting ability. If I touch either of these small spheres, I get an increase in my gas, or whatever that green bar represents. So every time I touch one of these white spheres or black spheres, you're going to see that green bar shoot up. Let's look at it now. So if I go to this white sphere, I'll get 5 points, and the green bar goes up a bit. But it still goes up, even if I touch one of the small black spheres. So even though the small black sphere subtracts 5 points from my score, it still helps me in terms of giving me fuel. All right, now let's take a look to the left of that green bar. And this is the glitch that I was talking about. Right now you can see a black rectangle to the left of the green bar. That black rectangle is supposed to represent the health of my ship. Every time the ship gets hurt, the health goes down, and there's also a way to repair the ship, which would increase the health. That black bar is broken in my copy of the game. I don't know if it's broken for everybody playing the original PC version through Steam, but it's broken on mine. It's supposed to be filled in with red, completely filled in at the start of a brand new game. If you get hurt a little bit, and I'll talk in a second about how you can get hurt, but if you get hurt, the red bar starts to decrease, starts to lower, and then if you repair yourself, the red bar increases, and the game ends if the red bar gets all the way empty, if your health completely runs out. All right, so how do we lose health? Well, if you touch any of the larger black spheres, you lose health. How much health do you lose? I got no fucking clue. It's black. It's all empty. I can't see anything. I think, like, I watched a little bit of some other folks playing on YouTube, and, you know, they all had the red bars working just fine. I don't know. Maybe you can, like, take something like 5 hits in a large black sphere before you game over. I'm not sure. All right, so that's how you lose health, is by touching one of the black spheres. How do you gain health? Well, you touch one of the large white spheres. The thing is that the large spheres, both colors, they have gravity. And for the black spheres, the ones that hurt you, the ones that decrease your health, they have a strong gravity pulling you towards them. And so I want to avoid the black spheres because they decrease my health, but the black spheres are trying to get me into the center of them. So it's like this battle. On the other hand, I want to touch the large white spheres because that replenishes my health. But the large white spheres, you guessed it, have a repelling force. And in fact, if I thrust at maximum power, I don't have enough to just go straight at one of those large white spheres. I won't get there. I'll never get there. So the way that you can get there is to maybe have, like, let's say you have 2 white spheres, and let's suppose that they're on the screen maybe like 5 inches apart, something like that. And then you get in between them. So here I'm just shooting at all these large black ones because I don't want them to touch me. And so let's suppose you get in the middle of these 2 white spheres that are, say, 5 inches apart. Well, you know, they're both going to be pushing you towards the other one because you're in the middle. And so what you can do is you can thrust towards one of them, but this is just like a decoy kind of thing. That sphere will not let you touch it. But as you're getting close and you're starting to really get repelled by the white sphere that you're heading towards, you turn 180 degrees away, and then you start thrusting towards the other sphere. And that thrusting combined with the gravity pushing you away from the first sphere you went towards can sometimes get you to touch the second white sphere for like a second. But that's enough. It, you know, like I said, refills some amount of your health. The other way to score points is to shoot any of the large black spheres. That counts as 10 points if I hit one of the large black spheres. If I hit one of the large white spheres, then I lose 10 points. And then the final scoring thing here is if you shoot any bullet you shoot, whether it hits or misses, does not matter. It costs you 1 point. So you kind of want to, you know, like you don't want to be shooting all the time. Your score won't get off the ground. So every shot, 1 point comes off of the score. All right, so why was this such a painful experience for me? I mean, it seems simple enough, right? Okay, so first of all, there's the glitch that I said. And so I can't tell how much my health is at any moment in time. I do have a clue whenever I get hurt, whenever I touch one of the black spheres, the large black ones, because the game makes a particular sound effect. And so I can tell if I have just been hurt because I hear the sound effect. And I can also tell if I've just healed because I hear a different sound effect. So I do have information about when I'm hurting and when I'm healing. Right there, you can see I was trying to use the gravity pull of the black one and then try to go through the black one and then into the white one just on the other side. I don't know whether that was a net gain or loss in terms of the health of my ship right here because I don't have the red bar giving me anything. So here was my strategy to make up for the glitch here. If I got hurt, if I heard the sound effect that says, hey, you just took some damage, then I would stop my intention of like trying to score points, and I would instead try to find a scenario where I could heal myself. And so that would mean like flying around and looking for 2 large white spheres that were in a good position relative to each other where I could kind of get in between them and maybe heal up. And that would sometimes take some time to find this sort of nice position. As I was trying to heal myself, like if you actually happen to heal yourself, let's see. So am I going to try in between these 2 large white spheres here? Let's see. So I go towards that one. Oh, we touched it. And the sound is real low, but you probably couldn't hear the sound effect. But I got the sound effect that says I got healed there, and it's because the large white sphere to the left of the screen was pushing me towards the large white sphere to the right of the screen, and that push combined with my thrust was enough to get me into the large white sphere on the right, and I healed a little bit. But as you heal, like you're only in the large white sphere for like a half a second, maybe a little more, but then you get repelled very strongly. You know, the closer you are to the center of one of these white spheres, the stronger the push away. And so as you get repelled very forcefully away, sometimes you end up getting thrown towards some black sphere that you might not even known was there. And so it's you got to be real careful as you're trying to heal up here. And also, I might get thrown into some small black spheres, and that would take away some points as well. So it was this game where it was like, all right, I'm desperately trying to avoid the large black spheres because I don't want to lose any health. But if I did lose some health, then I would go on health recovery mode, and then maybe lose some points in trying to get my health up. All right, and so part of the difficulty for me is that I had to waste a lot of time being extra cautious. Like whenever I got hit, I would waste time trying to replenish my health instead of just looking at the red bar and saying, "Oh, I still have plenty. Still 80% of my health. I don't need to refill my health at this moment." But I just didn't have that information, and I desperately did not want to do this a second time because, gang, it took a long time to get on the top of the high scoreboard. Okay, so what are my other complaints about Duality? Well, the high scoreboard. Let's give you some context here. So the monkey game where we had to shoot at those bananas coming from the right hand side of the screen, you can get the high score in that game in about 5 seconds. 5 seconds. You could probably get it with your eyes closed. In the Bumblebee game, you could get the high score in something like 2 minutes. I think like you just have to pass level 2. So like about maybe 3 minutes it takes you to get to the top of the high scoreboard. All right, but then they came from Uranus, where we were going around in a circle and shooting to the middle of the circle at all the enemies. That one, it was like a 20-minute video that I showed you highlights of, but I got to the top of the high score list before the 20 minutes, right? I think I went beyond. I kept going further than just the high score. So let's call it like 15 minutes. All right, so the 3 games that you've seen before this one, to get to the top spot on the high score list, one of them took like 5 seconds, one of them took about 3 minutes, and one of them took about 15 minutes. Okay, now let me give you the top score in the high score list for this game. 10,000 points. 10,000 points, and we get them 5 and 10 points at a time. This is ridiculous. All right, so I'm going to skip a lot of pain in my life, and I'm going to jump you to the end of this attempt. And as we're making this cut here, I will tell you that recording footage for this particular attempt took me 2 hours. It took 2 hours, gang, of just very slowly moving around space and shooting black and trying to avoid shooting white and trying to worry about my health and my fuel and looking at that score increase at the slowest possible rate and trying to get to a full 10,000 points. Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. Another complaint I have is that the like the black spheres, the small ones and the large ones, they largely blend in with the background in space, right? And I was recording the footage, like I've got my computer and my desk real close to a big window, and there was a lot of sunlight streaming in when I was recording the footage. Even at maximum brightness on my computer, it was still hard to see the black spheres, both small and large. And so what I ended up doing was like the black spheres all have like a little white dot on them, like to kind of represent like a shadow or something like that. And so if you look real carefully at the small black spheres, you'll see a small white dot in the top left corner. And at the large black spheres, you'll see a bigger white dot in the top left corner. And also the black and white spheres, they move across the screen far more slowly than the background stars. And so like I'm essentially like, kind of like staring at this screen with groggier and groggier eyes over the course of this 2-hour marathon session, trying to like get my eyes to not play tricks on me, trying to find like where are the stars that aren't really moving, right? Like there's stuff that's hardly moving on the screen. Oh, I think that's something that isn't moving. So that's probably a black sphere. Is it small? Is it big? How do I shoot it? Do I avoid it? What do I do? Just terrible, gang. Terrible. And I didn't even stop at 10,000. I went up to 11,000 before letting myself get sucked into a large black sphere so that the game would finally end. Why did I keep going past 10,000? I don't know. Maybe I was dropped on my head as a kid. God, this was so terrible, gang. So terrible. So did I feel a sense of accomplishment after I got my 10,000 score and found myself at the top of this leaderboard? No. And you want to know why, gang? You want to know why? Because of the word duality. Duality has everything to do with two-ness, right? The concept of a pair of things. So duality is not just a single game, it's two games. And in order to be true 100% plus, I need to get on the top of the other scoreboard as well, which is also 10,000 points. And that game actually took me a tiny bit longer than this one. Ugh, terrible. So as expected, when you're going for a high black score, everything is reversed. So now I want to shoot the large white spheres. That'll give me 10 points. And I don't want to shoot the large black spheres because that'll decrease my score by 10. And I want to touch the small black spheres to gain 5 points, and I want to avoid the small white spheres because they will cost me 5 points. The health stuff is still the same. I don't want to get sucked into a large black sphere, even in this game. Like right there, I just got hurt, lost some health, and I had to shoot that black sphere at a cost of 10 points just because I didn't want to get sucked in anymore. And I still want to touch the large white spheres to replace my health. So maybe I'm going to try go between these two white spheres here and use one to repel me into the other. No, that didn't work. In this version of the game, you don't lose a point for every shot that you take. I recorded this footage not too long after recording the footage from the previous 2-hour marathon. And so in the beginning, it took my brain a little bit of time to kind of wrap around the concept of swapping everything that I had learned over the previous 2 hours. Here's a quick interruption to show you all the arcade cabinets in Los Santos. So first we'll head into the Roboys Food Mart in Mulholland, and we're going to find 2 arcade cabinets in here. I think we're going to the right first, and we'll see the Go-Go Space Monkey game. There it is. Although recall, some of those cabinets actually play They Crawled from Uranus instead of the monkey game. All right, and then over here, which one is this? Oh, this is the game that shall not be named. All right, let's head to the next destination, another Roboys Food Mart. And I thought that the interiors were copies of each other, but clearly they're not, right? Like here we have 2 cabinets over on the one side, so that's different. And then the 69-cent store, I think this is a copy of the first Roboys Food Mart I just showed you. So we've got the game that shall not be named over here. I wonder if I could hit it with a rocket. Would that blow it up? And then the Go-Go Space Monkey here. And now we'll head into Mad Dog's Crib, which is available as a safe house after you pass almost all of the story missions in the game. It's very late. But look, the B cabinet, look how colorful it is. I'll show you on the side. That's nice. Very nice. And what's the other game Mad Dog picked? Oh, come on. You're better than that, Mad Dog. So here we are at the end of my attempt to get at the top of the scoreboard for the black side of Duality. Part of the difficulty that I had with this is, like I mentioned, the glitch where I don't have access to what my current health is. That black rectangle on the lower left should be partially filled in with red. And I had to play very defensively, and I had to refill my health far more often than actually I probably needed to, but I just really needed to make sure I didn't die and then have to start all over from 0. So let's suppose that if I had the red bar and it wasn't glitched like it was here, that maybe I could have beaten the game in like 2/3 the time that it actually took me playing defensively. So I said it took about 2 hours, but actually I got up to 11,000 points. I didn't need to get that high. Let's call it an hour and a half until I got to like 10,000 points, just estimating here. So if I could have beaten the game in like 2/3 of that time, then instead of an hour and a half, maybe I could have beaten it in an hour if I didn't have this glitched health bar. So an hour, well, gang, like the other arcade games to get to the top score was like 5 seconds and 3 minutes and 15 minutes. Then we get up to an hour. Was 10,000 points a typo? Like, did they make a mistake? Was it supposed to be 1,000 points, maybe? And then instead of taking an hour, it would take 6 minutes? I don't know. Like an hour to get to the top of the score for this little throwaway arcade game. That doesn't feel like the right programming decision. I mean, maybe it was somebody who's just sadistic that wrote that chose that 10,000 score, but it sure feels like maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe it was intended to be 1,000 instead of 10,000. So this side of the scoreboard to get to the high score actually took me even longer than the white scoreboard. This one took me like 2 hours, 25 minutes. Again, maybe I could have done it in 2/3 the time if I didn't have this glitch. Either way, it sucked. It totally sucked. Okay, gang, there it is. We're getting destroyed by these large black spheres. 10,005 points. Please tell me that's enough. Okay, we are good. Holy cow. Gang, this was like 4 hours and 20 minutes of misery. Fuck this fucking game. Wow, that was awful. All right, feel free to share your high score in the comments section below. Feel free to share your opinions on Duality in the comments section below, but only if you agree with me and talk about how shitty this fucking game was. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon.